La Carrera del Tiempo en la Ruta 66, El Portal del Eclipse. Under the vast, blazing sky of the Mojave Desert, the legendary Route 66 stretched out like an endless ribbon over shimmering asphalt and windswept sand. Manuel Ramirez, a weathered truck driver with a heart as free as the open road, piloted his beloved, battered truck, affectionately nicknamed El Viajero, down this historic highway. Every mile whispered memories of bygone eras and hinted at adventures yet to come. That fateful day was unusually clear. High above, a rare total solar eclipse began its slow dance, casting surreal, shifting shadows over the desert. As the sun's brilliance dimmed beneath the moon's cover, Manuel noticed an anomalous blue glow shimmering off the horizon, a light that defied explanation. At first, he presumed it a mere optical trick, a reflection off the endless sands. But as he drew nearer, he discerned that the glow swirled in spirals, forming intricate, impossible patterns suspended in the dry, hot air. It was as if a portal, a tear in the fabric of time itself, had manifested before him. Intrigued and heart-pounding, Manuel slammed on the brakes. A cloud of fine dust erupted as El Viajero ground to a halt near the source of that eerie radiance. With cautious steps, he approached the phenomenon. The blue light pulsed and whirled in hypnotic spirals, beckoning him closer. In that charged moment, the world seemed to pause. The desert fell into a heavy, anticipatory silence. Manuel's trembling hand reached out, and as his fingers brushed the very air of the portal, a surge of energy enveloped him. In a blink, he was swept into a maelstrom of brilliant light and shifting shadows, a torrent that whisked him away from the Mojave and into the unknown. The sensation was as if he were caught in a cosmic whirlpool, where the past, present, and future converged into a single, undulating stream. The familiar landscape of Route 66 and the desert vanished, replaced by a kaleidoscopic cascade of images, memories, and possibilities. Each heartbeat seemed to sync with the rhythm of the eclipse, and every pulse of light echoed a destiny far greater than he had ever imagined. In that instant, amid the surging chaos, a fleeting symbol emerged. A subtle emblem for Chronos Viages appeared in a glimmer of blue light, a quiet nod to those who, through advanced technology and daring spirit, crossed the boundaries of time. This silent signature affirmed that the path Manuel had just embarked upon was no mere accident, but a journey chosen by fate itself. With his mind reeling and his senses aflame, Manuel found that the portal had opened wide, inviting him to step into a race against time. The ancient road was no longer merely asphalt. It was now a threshold to epochs lost and futures waiting to be born. When the maelstrom of light subsided, Manuel found himself on a version of Route 66 that pulsed with the vibrant energy of the 1950s. The Mojave, bathed in a soft golden glow, had transformed into a scene straight from a vintage postcard. Neon signs glowed from small roadside towns, and the gentle hum of classic engines mixed with the crackling strains of early rock and roll. Every detail around him exuded the exuberance of post-war America. The desert now echoed with the unmistakable sounds of rock and roll, and as Manuel drove El Viajero along the revitalized highway, he felt the spirit of the era surge through him. He passed diners with chrome details and billboards proclaiming, "Live rock and roll, and the king is here." Images of Elvis Presley, immortalized in faded yet striking murals, seemed to wink at him from every corner, as if reminding him that the raw power of music could change lives. Driving along that timeless highway, the air was thick with nostalgia. Every mile became a passage into a golden age, where the thrill of freedom, the roar of engines, and the allure of endless open roads blended into a dreamlike reverie. In a small town, a A weathered sign read Grand Rock Concert, August 15th, 1956, a date that resonated as the moment rock and roll had burst forth, shattering old conventions and igniting a revolution of sound and spirit. Manuel's heart swelled with the pulse of the past, the soul of a generation that had danced, rebelled, and soared on the wings of music. In that moment, the familiar sounds of a jukebox, its notes echoing the electrifying riffs of a guitar solo, merged with the dusty winds. Time itself seemed to stretch and slow, allowing him to savor every nuance of that vibrant era. Yet, just as the comforting hum of the 50s began to settle in his heart, a sudden flash of blue light appeared on the horizon, a subtle yet unmistakable signal that his journey through time was far from over. It was as if the road itself, imbued with ancient magic, beckoned him to press onward and discover that Route 66 held more secrets than mere nostalgia. With renewed determination and adrenaline surging through him, Manuel pressed on. The golden age of rock and freedom had touched his soul, but the mysterious blue glow promised adventures beyond the familiar, an invitation to explore further the hidden corridors of time embedded in the very road he loved. As Manuel sped down the highway, the spirit of rock and roll enveloped him like a warm embrace. The rumble of El Viajero's engine became a steady beat against the backdrop of a nation's awakening, an anthem of youth, rebellion, and raw energy. In a small, bustling town lit by neon and alive with the clamor of eager fans, he parked outside a classic diner. The establishment, with its checkered floors and vintage jukebox, served as a time capsule where every detail sang of the 1950s. The clink of coffee cups, the murmur of conversations laden with hope, and the ever-present, rhythmic pulse of rock. Outside, under a starry sky, the mural of Elvis Presley on the diner's wall shimmered with an almost mystical quality. His charismatic gaze and iconic silhouette, rendered in soft, faded colors, seemed to come alive as if channeling the very essence of that transformative era. The diner's atmosphere was charged with an indescribable magic, a blend of high spirits and unspoken dreams, and Manuel felt every note of the music, every subtle chord, merge with the throb of his own heartbeat. Yet, just when the fervor of the past appeared to offer a comforting haven, a piercing flash of blue light disrupted the scene. It was a spectral reminder that the journey was far from over. As Manuel stepped out of the diner, the cool night air and the fading strains of rock gave way to an eerie, futuristic glimmer on the horizon. The blue radiance shimmered like a phantom promise, suggesting that the next chapter of his adventure lay beyond the well-trodden paths of nostalgia, beckoning him to explore realms where the past's passionate rebellion meets a stark, technologically altered future. With his pulse racing and memories of rock echoing in his veins, Manuel revved the engine and merged back onto the road. The Route 66 of the 1950s had given him a taste of unbridled freedom, but that persistent blue glow was a siren call, a hint that the highway held even more enigmatic and transformative secrets waiting to be unveiled. In an instant, the familiar hum of the 50s gave way to a world unrecognizable, a future where the essence of Route 66 was reimagined in stark, dystopian hues. The desert, once bathed in the golden warmth of nostalgia, now shuddered under a harsh, neon-lit sky. Towering structures of metal and glass jutted from the sand like relics of an advanced, yet troubled civilization. Drones and autonomous vehicles soared overhead, and the once beloved highway now pulsed with digital displays and holographic billboards, casting eerie, synthetic glows over the arid landscape. Manuel found himself in a realm where the spirit of rock had been repurposed into something cold and mechanized. The soundscape had shifted dramatically, from the raw, organic chords of electric guitars to the dissonant hum of synthesizers and digital rhythms. The future had reshaped America into a complex tapestry of control and rebellion. The ideals of freedom were now interwoven with surveillance and corporate dominance. Yet, amidst the dystopia, vestiges of the old soul remained. On street corners, a few renegade musicians played distorted versions of classic rock anthems on futuristic instruments, their music a defiant reminder of a bygone era. The desolate Mojave was now transformed into an urban frontier, a paradoxical blend of futuristic architecture and haunting echoes of the past. Billboards flashed with dates and events from a not-so-distant future, such as November 12, 2084. The dawn of the new age, juxtaposed against the nostalgic imagery of 1950s Americana. The neon glow of holographic advertisements illuminated the darkened asphalt, and Manuel's truck, El Viajero, now carried upgrades that merged vintage charm with state-of-the-art technology. Digital readouts and augmented reality sensors flickered on the dashboard, silently chronicling every mile in a data stream that spoke of progress and loss in equal measure. As Manuel navigated this surreal, high-tech landscape, a cacophony of synthesized sounds filled the air, a relentless, mechanical symphony that clashed with intermittent bursts of distorted rock classics. It was as if the past's passion and the future's sterility were locked in an eternal struggle for identity. In a narrow intersection lit by pulsating neon, he saw the group of street performers, their faces illuminated by the glow of portable projectors, playing an eerie rendition of a classic Elvis hit. The image of the king, once a beacon of rebellion and hope, now flickered on screens like a ghost from the past, a reminder of a time when music was raw and transformative. Amidst this dystopian panorama, another flash of blue appeared, a subtle, almost secretive symbol emerging from the technological haze. Once again, Chronos Viages made its presence known, its translucent logo interwoven with the futuristic visuals, serving as a beacon for time travelers daring enough to challenge the boundaries between eras. This brief yet potent signal reaffirmed that despite the overwhelming sterility of this future, the spirit of innovation and the possibility of redemption remained intact. Manuel pressed onward, his heart heavy with the stark contrast between the freedom of the 50s and the oppressive precision of 2084. Every mile on Route 66 now felt like a tightrope walk between reminiscence and resistance, between the soulful legacy of rock and the cold machinery of a reconfigured society. The futuristic Mojave beckoned him deeper, promising further revelations about a nation redefined by technology and the ceaseless march of time. As Manuel continued his journey, the boundaries between past and future began to blur in mesmerizing ways. The road itself transformed into a conduit for memory and possibility. On one side, the echoes of the 1950s resonated in the timeless spirit of rock and roll, electric guitars, soulful drums, and the magnetic charisma of legends like Elvis Presley, whose image still glowed softly in murals and neon signs. On the other side, visions of a high-tech dystopia, where data streams and holographic advertisements reigned supreme, unfolded like pages of an unwritten future. The desert merged with these dual visions. Vast stretches of Mojave sand became canvases for ephemeral projections. Ghostly images of American iconography, vintage diners, and classic American cars intermingled with surreal, futuristic constructs. Floating screens, robotic figures, and crystalline towers emerging from the horizon. The very air vibrated with the tension of competing eras, each vying for supremacy in a race where time itself was the ultimate prize. Manuel's truck, El Viajero, was both relic and modern marvel, a vessel bridging epochs. As he drove, the vehicle's upgraded instruments displayed fluctuating data that recounted not only his location but also temporal coordinates. A subtle message on one such display read, "Journey continues. Chronos Viages welcomes you," a commercial whisper seamlessly interwoven with the narrative, affirming that even in the midst of time's chaos, support and innovation stand ready for the daring. Every curve of the road was a reminder of America's storied past. The thunderous roar of a 50s engine, the exuberance of roadside attractions, the communal heartbeat of small towns. And yet every moment also hinted at a transformed, sometimes dystopian future. On a seemingly ordinary stretch, a holographic billboard flashed the date August 15, 1956, instantly evoking the era when rock and roll surged into the cultural consciousness. Moments later, another screen displayed November 12, 2084, casting a chilling light on the path ahead. This juxtaposition of dates, events, and imagery underscored the narrative's central theme: that history is not linear, but a swirling vortex of moments that echo across time. The emotional impact was palpable. As Manuel navigated this surreal tapestry, he felt a deep stirring within, a blend of longing for the past and a burning desire to reshape the future. The very soul of America, captured in the raw power of rock and the indefatigable spirit of the open road, pulsed within him, urging him to press onward despite the uncertainties that lay ahead. At every turn, the surreal environment beckoned him with its contradictions: a whisper of a bygone era, a digital shimmer of tomorrow, and the ever-present, unyielding pulse of the present. And as he pressed the accelerator, the cosmos itself seemed to lean in, urging him to unravel the mysteries of his journey, to discover how the fervor of youth and the wisdom of history might converge to forge a brighter future. Then, as if time itself had decided to relent, the relentless cadence of the dystopian future began to ebb. A final, gentle surge of blue light emerged on the horizon, the portal's last, fading pulse. In a blink, the futuristic veneer of Route 66 receded, and the timeless, dusty highway reasserted its ancient charm. Manuel found himself once again behind the wheel of El Viajero, the Mojave Desert restored to its familiar, wind-swept expanse. Yet every grain of sand now shimmered with the imprint of the extraordinary journey he had just endured. Driving into the soft, embracing light of dawn, Manuel felt transformed. The vivid contrasts of the 1950s, a period of raw, unbridled rock and a spirit of freedom, and the cold, mechanized dystopia of 2084 had melded together within him, reshaping his very soul. The Route 66 he now traversed was more than a highway. It was a living chronicle, a portal that carried the legacy of America's past while whispering the promise of a reimagined future. Every ray of the rising sun, every fleeting shadow on the road, spoke of cycles, endings that seeded new beginnings, nostalgia that fueled innovation, and a race through time that never truly ends. With each mile, Manuel's heart swelled with renewed purpose. The echoes of rock and roll, the memories of rebellious nights, and the stark visions of a high-tech tomorrow all converged into a single, resounding truth. The true journey through time is not measured solely by distance, but by the indelible mark it leaves on the soul. The subtle guidance of Chronos Viages, witnessed in the ethereal glints along the way, reaffirmed that even when the path seems shrouded in uncertainty, there is always a way forward for those brave enough to defy the confines of time. As El Viajero rumbled steadily along the ancient asphalt, the desert once again became a canvas, one painted with the hues of remembrance and hope. The horizon, touched by the gentle glow of morning, promised that while the portal had closed, its echo would persist in every whisper of wind and every heartbeat of the road. Manuel resolved to document his odyssey, to transform his harrowing yet inspiring adventure into a narrative that would inspire millions of listeners, a testament to the undying spirit of freedom, the enduring power of music, and the eternal race of time that unites us all. In that serene moment of introspection, with the desert awakening in a burst of color and light, Manuel realized that his journey had transcended mere physical travel. It had become a pilgrimage into the heart of America. The road, the music, and the visions of both a glorious past and a stark future had irrevocably changed him. He now carried within him the luminous essence of eras long gone and the promise of a destiny still unfolding. And so, as the first light of day bathed Route 66 in a gentle, promising glow, Manuel Ramirez accelerated into the horizon, his soul forever imprinted with the secrets of time. The portal of the eclipse had closed, yet its echo would resound eternally across the Mojave, along every curve of the highway, and in the hearts of those who dare to dream. For in the race of time, every moment is a chance to rewrite destiny, a chance to rediscover the unyielding spirit of a nation, the soulful legacy of rock, and the endless promise of tomorrow. The enigma of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the vortex of time. In the heart of medieval Italy, under a sky streaked with the blush of an impending twilight, the Leaning Tower of Pisa stood as a marvel of engineering and a silent sentinel to centuries of secrets. Giovanni Marini, an amateur astrophysicist and fervent seeker of cosmic enigmas, had journeyed to Pisa on what began as a routine visit. Yet as he wandered among the ancient stone corridors and marveled at the tower's peculiar tilt, a defiant slant against the pull of gravity, he sensed that there was more to this monument than met the eye. On that fateful afternoon, as the soft hum of everyday life mingled with the murmurs of history, Giovanni noticed an anomaly in the tower's shadow. A subtle, almost imperceptible shimmer danced along the wall behind the ancient structure, a ripple of blue light that pulsed as if alive. With his heart quickening, he approached the wall, each step accompanied by the echo of his own breath and the distant chime of church bells. The atmosphere thickened. The air, heavy with the scent of stone and time, seemed to vibrate with an energy beyond the natural. And then, as if summoned by his very presence, the mysterious shimmer coalesced into a vortex, an otherworldly portal swirling with hues of electric blue and silver. Giovanni extended a trembling hand toward the phenomenon. The moment his fingers grazed the cool, crackling air at its edge, the world around him dissolved into a cascade of visions. In an instant, the timeless piazza, the clamor of everyday Pisa, and the Stoic Tower itself were replaced by a torrent of images, a maelstrom of shifting epics where medieval artisans and modern scientists merged into one endless continuum of existence. The vortex, like a cosmic engine, propelled him forward into a whirlwind of incandescent colors and pulsating energy, each beat of light echoing the ancient rhythms of the cosmos. For a long, disorienting moment, Giovanni felt as though he were suspended in the very fabric of time, a traveler caught between the past and the future. Memories of medieval Pisa merged with flashes of a dazzling, futuristic world. Scenes of bustling Renaissance markets, illuminated by torchlight and shrouded in the mysticism of alchemy, intermingled with visions of a utopian age where technology and art had merged to create wonders unimaginable in his own time. In that spiraling torrent, the tower's lean and its quiet defiance became symbols not only of human ingenuity, but of the eternal flux of time itself. A subtle whisper echoed through his consciousness, a gentle, almost imperceptible note that hinted at guidance from a force beyond mortal comprehension. In that suspended instant, a faint emblem materialized amid the swirling light. The logo of Chronos Viages, rendered with delicate brilliance as if it were a signature of destiny. This discreet marker affirmed to Giovanni that his journey was not an accident but a call, a summons to explore the cyclical nature of history, where the achievements of the past and the dreams of the future are in constant, turbulent dialogue. As the vortex's colors deepened, Giovanni's senses sharpened. Every beat of his heart synchronized with the rhythm of the portal's pulsations, each flash of light unveiling snippets of knowledge that transcended time. He saw, for instance, medieval architects laboring over blueprints and contraptions that defied modern understanding, only to be juxtaposed with futuristic diagrams, quantum equations dancing in holographic brilliance, foretelling inventions centuries ahead of their time. History, he realized, was not a straight line but a spiraling helix, always on the brink of reinvention. At that moment, the world he knew, the cobblestone streets, the gentle murmur of Italian conversation, the venerable stone of the leaning tower, seemed both achingly distant and yet intertwined with the dazzling promise of what lay ahead. Giovanni's mind raced as he contemplated the implications. Could the tower's famous tilt be more than a quirk of engineering? Might it be a deliberate alignment, a cosmic design engineered to channel the energies of the universe and open a window into the depths of time? The thought was as mad as it was exhilarating, and every fiber of his being vibrated with anticipation and trepidation. And so, with a mixture of fear and unbridled wonder, Giovanni stepped forward into the swirling portal, surrendering himself to the unpredictable currents of time. In that final, heartbeat-long pause before the plunge, he felt the weight of centuries upon him, a legacy of human achievement, of struggles fought in shadow and light, all converging at that singular moment. The vortex beckoned him onward into realms where medieval stone and futuristic light would converge, where Leonardo da Vinci might emerge not only as an artist but as a visionary scientist leading a revolution of technology. Giovanni felt the vortex's energy slowly recede, and as the swirling blue and silver hues dissipated, his surroundings coalesced into a world vastly different from the one he had known. He now stood in a narrow cobblestone street, bathed in the soft, amber glow of medieval twilight. The air was cool and redolent with the aroma of burning wood and spices. Distant bells tolled, their sound echoing off ancient stone walls. Before him rose the unmistakable silhouette of medieval Pisa. Narrow lanes, humble market squares, and venerable buildings constructed of weathered stone that told tales of a bygone era. Every detail of this medieval tableau pulsed with life and mystery. Giovanni, still reeling from his abrupt departure from modernity, could see peasants in rough-spun garments hurrying along, their voices low and urgent, as they exchanged news of harvests and hardships. Nobility in flowing robes strolled beneath intricately carved arches, while itinerant minstrels strummed lutes and sang ballads that celebrated both triumph and sorrow. It was as if the very soul of Pisa had been resurrected around him, a vivid tapestry woven from threads of history, passion, and the raw energy of an age where every moment held the promise of both beauty and peril. At the center of this bustling, archaic cityscape stood the Leaning Tower itself, an edifice whose peculiar tilt now resonated with a new, profound significance. No longer was it merely a marvel of medieval engineering. To Giovanni, it had transformed into a beacon, a physical manifestation of the cosmos's strange interplay between order and chaos. He approached the tower slowly, each step punctuated by a mix of trepidation and awe. The stone surface of the tower, worn smooth by centuries of relentless time, seemed to whisper secrets to those who dared come close. In the fading light, he could almost discern faint inscriptions etched into the masonry, runes and symbols that spoke of ancient alchemy and quantum mysteries, as though the builders had left clues about forces beyond mortal ken. Giovanni's mind raced as he recalled snippets of forgotten lore, tales of a hidden mechanism within the tower, one designed not merely to defy gravity but to serve as a conduit for celestial energies. Was it possible that the tower's infamous lean was not just a structural anomaly, but an intentional alignment, a cosmic nod toward a secret dimension. His pulse quickened at the thought, for here, in this living relic of the past, lay the convergence of human ambition and the enigmatic forces of the universe. With cautious determination, he circled the tower, his eyes scanning every crevice and weathered inscription. The medieval streets around him buzzed with life. Merchants hawked their wares in animated voices, children played in dusty alleys, and the rhythmic tolling of a distant church bell set the tempo for a city steeped in tradition. Every sound, every movement, seemed imbued with an energy that transcended the mere passage of time, as if the entire world were aware of the portal's secret and waited with bated breath for its revelation. In a narrow, secluded courtyard behind the tower, Giovanni discovered an ancient archway partially obscured by ivy and moss. The arch, its stonework masterfully carved and adorned with intricate motifs, resonated with an otherworldly quality. As he drew closer, the symbols on the arch seemed to shimmer with a light of their own, pulsating in rhythm with the echoes of the vortex that had brought him here. In that moment, time itself appeared to pause. The chatter of the crowd, the clatter of footsteps, even the gentle rustling of leaves, all fell away into a profound silence. In the stillness, Giovanni could almost hear a faint murmur of voices, not human, but a cosmic chorus reciting incantations lost to time. He reached out and, with trembling fingers, traced the ancient carvings along the arch's surface. The texture was cool and uneven, each groove and notch a testament to the skilled hands of craftsmen from centuries past. As his touch lingered on one particularly elaborate design, a spiral intertwined with celestial symbols, an intense warmth surged through him. It was as if the arch itself had awakened, its energy responding to his presence. In that charged moment, the ancient stone began to vibrate, and a narrow slit of iridescent light crept out from behind it, revealing a hidden passage that led deeper into the mystery of the tower. Giovanni's heart pounded with an amalgam of fear, excitement, and reverence. He realized that he was on the cusp of a discovery that would not only challenge the very fabric of history, but would also unlock secrets of a cosmic order previously relegated to myth and legend. With a deep breath that seemed to steady his resolve, he stepped into the passage. The cool darkness enveloped him, punctuated only by the soft, glowing pulses of light emanating from the walls. Every footfall echoed in the narrow corridor as he moved forward, each step taking him deeper into the labyrinth of time and knowledge. In that moment, the medieval world of Pisa and the arcane energy of the tower converged into a singular, transcendent experience. Giovanni felt as though he were not merely traversing a physical space, but rather journeying through the very essence of history, a flowing river where the past, present, and future mingled in a timeless dance. And as the passageway wound deeper, he braced himself for what lay ahead. Secrets that would blur the lines between science and mysticism, where the legends of old might merge with visions of a future yet to be conceived. As the corridor opened into a vast, vaulted chamber, the very air seemed to pulse with the weight of countless centuries. Massive columns, adorned with intricate mosaics in deep hues of blue and gold, rose from the ancient stone floor, each one a silent testament to the glories and tragedies of bygone empires. The chamber's ceiling, a celestial tapestry of swirling patterns and mythic figures, glowed with an ethereal light that danced over every surface, as if the past and the future were entwined in a perpetual waltz. Alejandro Barrios paused at the threshold, his breath catching in his throat as the ambient hum of energy filled the space. In this sanctum, time appeared to slow, each moment stretching into an eternity that resonated with the secrets of Constantinople. The echoes of long-forgotten prayers and imperial decrees mingled with the soft, rhythmic pulse of the intertemporal mechanism. It was as though the very walls of the chamber were speaking in a language older than words, a language composed of light, shadow, and memory. He advanced slowly along a pathway flanked by towering arches. On each arch, carvings of gods and heroes, saints and emperors, merged seamlessly with symbols of futuristic design, geometric forms and abstract patterns that hinted at quantum enigmas. The interplay of these motifs stirred in Alejandro an overwhelming sense of continuity. The ancient and the modern, the divine and the scientific, all converged in this sacred space. Each step he took was accompanied by a soft, resonant murmur, as if the chamber itself acknowledged his passage with a quiet benediction. At the center of the hall, suspended in a perfect circle of radiant blue and silver light, floated the portal in its most pristine form. This luminous disk, pulsating with the steady rhythm of an unseen cosmic heart, dominated the chamber. Its edges shimmered and blurred, suggesting that it was less a fixed object than a living gateway, a threshold between epochs. The light it emitted cast long, quivering shadows that moved like sentient phantoms across the mosaic-tiled floor. In that surreal moment, the inscriptions on the walls began to shift and rearrange themselves. Ancient Greek characters and mystical symbols coalesced into fluid patterns that told stories of triumph and despair, of revolutions sparked by faith and discoveries born on the wings of science. The very stone seemed to vibrate with these narratives, and Alejandro felt as though he were privy to a cosmic conversation, a dialogue between the soul of the past and the promise of the future. Then, amid the harmonious chaos of light and shadow, a subtle yet unmistakable signal emerged. A fleeting flash of crystalline blue, a discrete emblem that bore the mark of Chronos Viages, appeared along one of the mosaic panels. It was as if the guardian of time had sent a silent message, that even in this vast labyrinth of history, modern ingenuity stands ready to guide the intrepid traveler. That fleeting commercial nod, as ephemeral as a whisper, lent the entire experience an additional layer of wonder and reassurance. Alejandro, mesmerized, reached out to touch one of the warm, intricately carved columns. As his hand made contact, a gentle tremor coursed through the stone, sending ripples of luminescence through the chamber. It was a physical echo of the intangible forces at work, an affirmation that the portal's power was not confined to mere light and energy, but was woven into the very fabric of the ancient city. In that moment, he sensed that the secrets of Constantinople were not static relics but dynamic forces, capable of reshaping reality itself. Every second in the Chamber of Eternal Echoes felt laden with meaning. The boundaries between past, present, and future blurred into a single, continuous moment. Alejandro's mind raced with the possibilities of what lay beyond the portal's glowing perimeter. Could he, by crossing that threshold, witness the birth of new empires or the rekindling of lost legacies? Was it possible that within the swirling vortex of time, he might even encounter a figure like Leonardo da Vinci, a visionary reborn to guide humanity toward a new era of technological enlightenment? Overwhelmed yet resolute, Alejandro stepped closer to the luminous disk. The energy that emanated from it was almost tangible, a soft, rhythmic hum that seemed to vibrate in tune with the deepest recesses of his soul. With a deep, steadying breath, he allowed himself to be drawn inexorably forward, as if the portal itself beckoned him to merge with its eternal flow. In that decisive moment, as he crossed the threshold, the chamber's ancient voices and futuristic whispers surged into a crescendo, carrying him into the next phase of his journey through the labyrinth of time. As Giovanni advanced through the narrow passage behind the ivy-clad arch, the medieval world of Pisa seemed to dissolve into an almost surreal tapestry of stone and light. The corridor's cool, damp walls were etched with carvings whose ancient lines now pulsed with a soft, ethereal glow. Each step resounded like the tick of an enormous cosmic clock, an ever-present reminder that the boundaries between epochs were thinning. In the dim illumination, the stone itself appeared to breathe. Faint inscriptions, half forgotten by time, began to shimmer as if infused with a mysterious energy. Giovanni's mind raced with questions. Was the tower's famed tilt truly a flaw, or had it been a deliberate design? A key to unlocking hidden channels through the fabric of time? The thought was maddening yet exhilarating, stirring in him an insatiable curiosity that overpowered any lingering doubts. With trembling resolve, he reached out to trace a particularly intricate spiral engraved upon the stone. At his touch, the carving seemed to ripple, and a low hum vibrated through the very bedrock beneath him. The air thickened. A hush fell over the passage, punctuated only by the rising cadence of that inexplicable sound. It was as though the tower, with all its storied history, was about to impart its long-kept secret. Suddenly, the spiral pattern brightened, and from its center, a column of brilliant blue light shot forth. The corridor transformed around him. The cool, shadowed stone gave way to a swirling vortex of luminous energy. In that moment, the entire world contracted into a singular pulse, a heartbeat of the universe, propelling Giovanni forward into a realm where time unraveled into infinite layers. The vortex enveloped him completely. As he was swept along its spiraling current, memories of medieval Pisa intermingled with flashes of astonishing future visions. He witnessed, for an instant, the tower as it stood proud in an age of chivalry and mysticism. Then, in the next heartbeat, he saw it reborn as a nexus of quantum phenomena, where advanced technology and ancient wisdom converged in a dazzling display of light and possibility. Throughout this tumultuous passage, Giovanni's senses were assailed by echoes of voices long silenced, a chorus of artisans, scholars, and seers whose legacy was etched into every stone of Pisa. In a fleeting, almost imperceptible moment, the emblem of Chronos Viages appeared among the flashes, a subtle but unmistakable signature woven into the tapestry of time. It was a quiet assurance that modern ingenuity, too, played a role in guiding the paths of those brave enough to traverse the vortex. As the relentless spiral of light began to slow, Giovanni's surroundings coalesced into a more defined vision, a monumental space where the past and future converged in a glorious amalgamation of eras. Here, the very air shimmered with a tangible energy that promised secrets yet untold. With his heart pounding and his mind ablaze with revelations, he realized that he was no longer simply an observer. He had become an integral part of a grand, cyclical narrative where every moment was both an ending and a new beginning. Within this newly revealed realm, the atmosphere was charged with an almost sacred intensity. Giovanni now found himself standing in a vast, circular chamber carved deep within the ancient structure, a hidden sanctum where time's mysteries were laid bare. The chamber's dome was adorned with delicate frescoes and intricate patterns that glowed softly in hues of cobalt and silver, as if lit from within by the very essence of the cosmos. Every surface told a story. On one wall, scenes of medieval life unfolded in painstaking detail. Artisans at work, scholars poring over scrolls, knights riding beneath banners emblazoned with heraldic emblems. On the opposite wall, a futuristic panorama emerged. Skylines of unimaginable structures, streams of data coursing through luminescent conduits, and enigmatic figures whose visages combined classical beauty with digital precision. This juxtaposition of images forged a bridge between the antiquated past and an unfathomable future, reinforcing the idea that history is not static but a living, breathing continuum. The pulsating light at the center of the chamber was the heart of the vortex, a radiant disk whose surface undulated with energy. Its edge flickered with rapid bursts of blue and white light, as if every flicker was a heartbeat marking the passage of Eris. Giovanni approached it with reverence, his every step measured and deliberate, as though the chamber itself were testing his resolve. In that silent moment, he felt the weight of countless generations press upon him, a legacy of human triumph, struggle, and eternal curiosity. As he neared the luminous disk, the air around him vibrated with an almost musical quality. It was as if the chamber itself were singing a cosmic hymn, its notes resonating with the pulse of the universe. The voices of long-departed sages and mystics echoed softly in his mind, urging him to accept the gift of insight that the Vortex offered. In that rapturous silence, Giovanni's inner thoughts merged with the ambient melody, and he began to perceive that the tower's lean was not an accident but a deliberate, ingenious construct, an alignment with celestial forces that allowed passage between times. In a final, transcendent moment before crossing the threshold, a delicate, shimmering image materialized before him, a spectral visage that bore an uncanny resemblance to Leonardo da Vinci. But this was not the Renaissance master of yore. This was a futuristic iteration, a visionary scientist whose eyes glowed with the light of untold discoveries and whose very presence exuded an aura of revolutionary promise. The apparition seemed to whisper to Giovanni, offering silent counsel that the journey ahead would reveal not only the secrets of the tower, but also the cyclical nature of human innovation and endeavor. Reinvigorated by this mysterious encounter, Giovanni steeled himself and, with a deep, steadying breath, extended his hand once more toward the radiant disk. In that heartbeat of decision, the chamber trembled with an energy that defied explanation, a final surge that bridged the old world and the new, the tangible and the abstract, the known and the unknown. As the light enveloped him fully, he felt his very being merge with the vortex, carrying him toward the culmination of his odyssey through time. The tumult of the vortex gradually subsided, and with it, the blinding radiance softened into a gentle, pulsing glow. Giovanni found himself emerging into a realm that was at once familiar and astonishingly transformed. He stood once more beneath the leaning tower of Pisa, but now the tower shone with a spectral luminescence that hinted at its true purpose. It was no longer merely an architectural marvel. It had become a living monument to the passage of time, a nexus where every era converged in a delicate balance of light and shadow. The medieval streets, the bustling life of Pisa, and the silent majesty of the tower all reasserted themselves as the vortex's energy waned. Yet, Giovanni was irrevocably changed. The journey had etched itself into his very soul, a mosaic of memories where the echoes of a distant past and the glimmers of a visionary future intermingled seamlessly. In his mind, the faces of ancient craftsmen, the passionate whispers of medieval scholars, and the futuristic visage of Leonardo da Vinci coexisted in an eternal dialogue. Slowly, the residual energy of the vortex coalesced into a final, serene shimmer that bathed the surroundings in an otherworldly blue light. The once violent current of temporal energy now seemed like a gentle tide, washing over the stone of the tower and the cobblestones of the ancient piazza. As Giovanni surveyed the scene, he felt a profound sense of closure and renewal, an understanding that the secrets he had uncovered were not meant to be hoarded but shared. In that moment of tranquil clarity, the subtle emblem of Chronos Viages appeared one last time, a brief, luminous wink from the guardians of time, affirming that modern innovation and ancient wisdom are forever intertwined. It was a promise that the journey of exploration never truly ends, that the tools of today can unlock the mysteries of yesterday and, in doing so, pave the way for a future replete with wonder and possibility. With his heart full of insights and his mind alight with visions of interconnected epics, Giovanni retraced his steps through the now silent corridor. The leaning tower of Pisa stood majestic and enigmatic against the twilight sky, a timeless beacon whose subtle tilt bore witness to the ceaseless, spiraling dance of history. As he emerged back into the familiar world of Pisa, he carried with him the weight of an experience that defied linear time. A vivid, transcendent memory of how the past, present, and future are but facets of a single, dynamic continuum. Walking slowly back through the ancient streets, Giovanni resolved to dedicate his life to unearthing these hidden truths, to document the miraculous convergence of eras in a manuscript that would inspire generations. The Vortex had transformed him into a custodian of time, a guardian of secrets that must be shared with the world. With every step, he felt the enduring pulse of history and the promise of uncharted futures, a constant reminder that the lean of the tower was not merely a structural anomaly but a deliberate design of cosmic proportions. And so, as the stars emerged to crown the night and the timeless tower glimmered beneath their light, Giovanni Marini set forth on a new quest, a mission to bridge the realms of past and future, to celebrate the eternal dance of human ingenuity, and to ensure that the miraculous legacy of the Leaning Tower of Pisa would continue to inspire awe and wonder in the hearts of millions. The Vortex had closed, but its echo would forever ripple through the corridors of time, a silent testament to the infinite possibilities that lie hidden within the folds of history. The Viking Vortex and the Future of the North, Ragnar's Renaissance. In the stark, windswept expanses of modern Scandinavia, where rugged fjords carve the coastline and ancient forests whisper the secrets of forgotten sagas, a lone soldier named Erik Halvorsen patrolled the remote reaches of a rugged border. Clad in the muted tones of his military uniform, his eyes, as steely as the northern ice, scanned the horizon with both vigilance and a restless yearning, a yearning for something beyond the confines of modern duty. It was during one such solitary mission, on a bitterly cold autumn day, that fate conspired to shatter the boundaries of time. Erik's unit had been tasked with a routine reconnaissance along a desolate stretch of wilderness near the Scandinavian border, region steeped in legends of the Viking Age. The air was crisp and the ground, dusted with frost, crunched beneath his steady boots. As the sky deepened to a twilight blue, an inexplicable glimmer caught his eye, a symbol etched into a massive, weathered stone that jutted out from a craggy hillside. At first glance, it appeared to be nothing more than a relic of ancient runes, but as he approached, the markings began to pulsate with a faint, otherworldly light, a light that defied explanation. Intrigued and cautious, Erik extended his hand toward the luminescence. In that instant, the runes flared with a brilliance reminiscent of the aurora borealis, and the ground beneath him trembled as though stirred by an unseen force. A vortex of swirling blue and silver emerged from the very heart of the stone, its spiraling currents beckoning him with an irresistible pull. Time itself seemed to pause, each heartbeat echoed like the toll of a great horn, before Erik was suddenly swept into a maelstrom of incandescent energy. He felt as though he were caught in a cosmic eddy, a tumultuous blend of fire and ice, where the present dissolved into a cascade of images from epochs long past and yet to come. In that vortex, the rigid lines of modern reality blurred. The chill of the Scandinavian winter gave way to visions of a rugged Viking era, where longships carved through stormy seas and fierce warriors brandished axes and shields beneath banners emblazoned with ancient symbols. And then, in a heartbeat, the scene shifted once more, revealing a futuristic Nordic world where technology merged seamlessly with time-honored traditions. As Erik tumbled through this intertemporal corridor, the sensations were both terrifying and sublime. The vortex roared like a black hole, devouring all that lay in its path. Yet within its chaotic pulse there was a strange harmony, a rhythmic cadence that resonated with the eternal cycles of history. Amid this swirling chaos, a subtle flash of blue appeared, a discreet emblem, barely perceptible, that glowed like a guiding star. Chronos Viages. This brief, shimmering mark was as if a modern benefactor of time travel had lent its aid, affirming that technology and ancient mysticism were inexorably intertwined in the fabric of destiny. Eric's world transformed around him. The landscape of contemporary Scandinavia vanished, replaced by an epic tableau of the Viking Age, a world of iron, blood, and honor. He found himself standing on a windswept shore, where towering longships lay anchored in a churning sea. The air was filled with the cries of battle and the resolute chants of warriors preparing for a fateful raid. In the distance, the silhouette of a great hall loomed, its wooden beams and intricate carvings evoking the valor of legendary chieftains and the sagas of old. Every detail was imbued with a raw, primal energy that made his modern heart pound with both wonder and apprehension. At that moment, Eric realized that the portal was not a mere accident of cosmic chance, but a deliberate, enigmatic gateway. A nexus designed to merge the fierce spirit of the past with the possibilities of an unimaginable future. The very ground beneath his feet seemed to vibrate with the echoes of legendary battles fought in the mists of time, and the roar of the ocean mingled with the murmur of ancient voices reciting sagas of heroes long gone. In that dizzying swirl of history and future, he sensed that he was destined to bear witness to a convergence that would forever alter the course of his life. Thus began his odyssey, a journey that would lead him through the heart of the Viking Age and beyond, into a realm where the boundaries of time were as fluid as the swirling vortex that had carried him from modernity into legend. With his mind aflame with questions and his soul ignited by the promise of destiny, Eric took his first tentative step into this timeless expanse, leaving behind the world he once knew to embrace a saga that transcended eras. As the vortex's tumult subsided, Eric emerged on a rugged, windswept shoreline under a slate-gray sky. The biting chill of the northern air pierced his modern uniform, a stark contrast to the warm, familiar landscapes of his own time. Before him lay a transformed world, a realm pulsing with the raw intensity of the Viking Age. The crashing waves against jagged cliffs and the distant cry of seabirds formed a haunting symphony, echoing the ancient sagas of warriors and explorers. Eric stood at the precipice of a timeless fjord, where towering mountains embraced the turbulent sea and dense mists veiled the horizon. The very air seemed charged with the primal energy of battle and honor, and he felt an inexplicable pull to venture further into this archaic realm. In the distance, the rhythmic clamor of oars and the creak of wooden timbers signaled the presence of longships slicing through stormy waters. Their sails, though tattered, billowed with the resolute spirit of a people defined by conquest and adventure. As Eric took cautious steps along the pebbled beach, he marveled at the sight. Men clad in furs and leather, their faces etched with fierce determination, marched in unison along the shore. Their shields bore runes, and their axes glinted ominously in the pale light. A living tableau of Viking valor, not a mere reenactment, but a vivid, breathing moment from an age of legends. Every detail overwhelmed his senses. The briny tang of the sea mixed with the smoky aroma of distant bonfires, and the rhythmic sound of clashing metal and fervent war cries resonated deep within him, urging him onward. Here, on this ancient coast, the past was not dead. It pulsed with life, a testament to the enduring spirit of the Vikings. In a secluded cove carved into the rugged shoreline, Eric discovered a monumental stone carving embedded in the weathered rock. The carving depicted a formidable Viking chieftain, his visage stern and powerful, his eyes seemingly aflame with destiny. Surrounding the chieftain were intricate runes and cryptic symbols, an enigmatic fusion of medieval mysticism and hints of quantum secrets. The inscription bore the date AD 793, marking the fabled beginning of the Viking Age with the raid on Lindisfarne. The significance of that moment, immortalized in stone, struck Eric with a profound realization. The past was not simply a memory, but an active, pulsing force woven into the very fabric of his journey. With a mix of awe and trepidation, he knelt before the ancient carving. In the silent communion with history, his mind surged with visions of legendary voyages and epic battles fought on raging seas. Amid the echoes of heroic exploits, he discerned subtle pulses, flickers of energy that hinted at a mystery greater than mere mortal conquests. A faint, ethereal glow emanated from the carved stone, as if it were a gateway to a realm where time and myth coalesced into one. Driven by a blend of courage and curiosity, Eric extended his weathered hand toward the luminous runes. The stone shuddered at his touch, its surface rippling like disturbed water. A surge of energy coursed through him, and in a crescendo of light and sound, the carving split open to reveal a narrow passageway. This hidden corridor, carved directly into the ancient rock, pulsed with an otherworldly radiance, a portal inviting him to venture deeper into the mysteries of time. Stepping into the passage, Eric felt the modern world fade away. The air grew colder, denser, imbued with the resonance of age-old rituals and the murmur of distant sagas. Every footfall echoed like a war drum in the narrow tunnel, marking his progress deeper into a labyrinth where time was no longer linear, but an endless spiral of memory and possibility. In that hushed darkness, he was surrounded by flickering images of fierce Viking battles and solemn oaths, each echo a testament to an era of unyielding honor and raw power. A sudden gust of cold wind swept through the corridor, carrying with it the crisp scent of pine and salt, a reminder of the wild northern seas and ancient forests. In that defining moment, as if orchestrated by fate itself, the subtle emblem of Chronos Viages manifested in a brief, luminous shimmer along the tunnel wall, a quiet, modern signature woven seamlessly into the ancient tapestry of time. With determination steeled by the raw intensity of the experience, Eric pressed on. Every step forward drew him deeper into the realm where the legendary past of the Vikings converged with the promise of a future sculpted by innovation and heritage. The narrow passage twisted and turned, each curve revealing further layers of history, until at last, it opened into a vast chamber, a hallowed hall where the echoes of ancient valor mingled with the pulse of destiny. Within the cavernous hall, the very air vibrated with the raw energy of the past. Massive stone columns, adorned with intricate carvings of longships, mythical beasts, and heroic figures, rose around Eric as if guarding the secrets of a bygone era. The chamber's vaulted ceiling, lost in shifting shadows and illuminated by intermittent bursts of blue light, created an atmosphere where the present and the ancient world intermingled in a ceaseless dance. It was here that Eric first beheld a spectral vision, a ghostly, translucent image of a Viking warrior, clad in furs and leather, whose eyes blazed with the fire of battle and destiny. The apparition moved silently along the chamber's perimeter, as though guiding him deeper into the heart of the legend. Though no words passed between them, the silent communion conveyed an urgency. The time-worn forces that had defined the Viking Age were awakening once more, and Eric's destiny was inextricably linked with their eternal saga. Suddenly, the chamber trembled. The spectral warrior's presence grew more defined, and the ancient runes etched on the columns began to glow with an inner fire. In a cascade of images, Eric witnessed the unfolding of epic battles on rugged Scandinavian shores, Vikings clashing fiercely with their foes, the clash of steel echoing across stormy fjords, and the resounding roar of triumph mingling with the anguished cries of the vanquished. These vivid scenes merged seamlessly with futuristic visions. Sleek, neon-lit cities rising from icebound landscapes, holographic maps outlining new frontiers, and figures draped in advanced armor that carried the indomitable spirit of their ancestors into a new age of innovation. The intensity of these converging images overwhelmed him. Every heartbeat echoed like a war drum. Every flicker of light was imbued with the legends of old and the promise of a reimagined future. Amidst this chaotic symphony of past and future, the subtle emblem of Chronos Viages shimmered again. A discreet, radiant token woven into the tapestry of the chamber, assuring him that even as ancient forces roared back to life, modern ingenuity stood ready to guide the passage of time. With resolve hardening in his chest, Eric took a step forward into the heart of the chamber. The Vortex's energy, now a rhythmic pulse, resonated with the eternal cadence of the Viking's legacy. As he advanced, the hall's walls shimmered with an ever-shifting montage. Scenes of heroic conquests, solemn oaths sworn under the ghostly light of the aurora, and futuristic glimpses of a utopian society where tradition and technology merged seamlessly. In that profound moment, Eric understood that history was not a fixed narrative but a swirling vortex of endless possibilities. Each era a reflection, each moment a chance to reinvent the future. Overwhelmed yet resolute, he crossed the threshold into the radiant core of the chamber, where the luminous vortex beckoned him to embrace the inexorable flow of time. As Eric emerged from the narrow corridor, the tunnel opened into a vast, cavernous hall that defied both time and space. The ceiling, lost in shadows and illuminated intermittently by ethereal blue light, arched high above, an immense vault of stone and ancient lore. Massive pillars, carved with intricate knotwork and Norse symbols, lined the hall. Their surfaces bore the scars of centuries, yet now they shimmered as if awakened by the vortex's residual energy. In this hallowed space, the past and the future converged in a spectacle that was as terrifying as it was awe-inspiring. At the heart of the hall, suspended in a delicate balance of light and darkness, floated a radiant orb, a pulsating nucleus of energy that captured the very essence of the Viking spirit. Its surface, a mesmerizing blend of luminous blue and silver, rippled gently like a mirage on a frozen sea. The orb's rhythmic pulse echoed the beating of ancient war drums and the steady, relentless march of time. Every flicker of light from its depths hinted at countless sagas, heroic battles, conquests born of honor, and dreams of a future where ancient valor would be reborn. Eric stood transfixed, as the cool air around him filled with a sacred energy. As he advanced, the very walls of the hall seemed to come alive. Carvings of Viking longships and mythic beasts shifted and danced in the wavering glow, while spectral images of fierce warriors emerged from the stone, figures that embodied the indomitable spirit of the sagas. One apparition, unmistakably resembling a futuristic Ragnar Lodbrok, reimagined as both warrior and visionary, materialized amid the interplay of light and shadow. His presence was commanding and enigmatic, a symbol of the eternal force that would one day lead his people into a renaissance of innovation and honor. The chamber pulsated with a profound energy. Ancient voices, like whispers from long-departed skalds, merged with the low hum of the orb, as if the hall itself were reciting an incantation of destiny. In a fleeting moment, a subtle flash of blue, the discreet logo of Chronos Viages, appeared among the shifting mosaics, a quiet reminder that modern technology and ancient lore were intricately bound in the tapestry of time. Driven by an inner compulsion that transcended mortal curiosity, Eric approached the orb. Each measured step resonated with the rhythmic pulse of the chamber, as if the very forces of the universe were aligning to affirm his purpose. The orb's light intensified, and the runes along the pillars glowed with renewed brilliance, projecting fleeting images of epic raids, solemn feasts under the northern lights, and futuristic visions of a reawakened society. Standing before the radiant sphere, Eric felt the overwhelming duality of his journey, a potent blend of raw Viking passion and the clinical promise of an advanced future. With a deep, steadying breath, he reached out, his hand trembling with anticipation, and allowed the orb's energy to envelop him completely. In that decisive moment, as he crossed the threshold, the chamber's ancient voices and futuristic whispers surged into a crescendo, carrying him into the next phase of his odyssey, a leap into the boundless vortex of time that would forever alter his destiny. Part 5 of 6, The Awakening of the Northern Soul. As Eric ventured deeper into the labyrinth of time, the vast chamber of convergence gradually yielded to a long, sinuous corridor bathed in an almost spectral luminescence. The passage was lined with ancient stone panels, their surfaces adorned with intricate carvings of mythic scenes and swirling motifs that defied the linear constraints of time. Every step along the worn cobblestones reverberated with echoes of forgotten battles and timeless oaths, each footfall a heartbeat of the ancestral North. In this corridor, the air shimmered with a fusion of old-world magic and futuristic quantum forces. Eric's senses were overwhelmed by the interplay of cool, ancient stone and pulsating waves of blue and silver light, as if the fabric of reality were being rewoven in real time. Faint holographic images flickered upon the walls, ghostly figures of Viking warriors engaged in fierce combat, their expressions resolute, intermingled with surreal projections of futuristic silhouettes clad in sleek, luminescent armor. These shifting images conveyed the eternal cycle of rebirth, of how the fierce legacy of the past could merge with the transformative promise of a technologically advanced future. The corridor soon opened into a spacious antechamber where the ambient glow intensified. Here, the light was punctuated by the soft, rhythmic hum of an unseen mechanism, a cosmic drumbeat echoing the pulse of the North. At the center of the chamber rose an enormous crystalline structure, its facets catching the light and refracting it into a prismatic dance of colors. This nexus pulsed with the combined energy of countless eras, a focal point where the valor of the Vikings converged with the innovation of tomorrow. In that charged moment, Eric's spirit soared. The crystalline structure projected ephemeral images into the air. A visionary Ragnar Lodbrok, his face marked by time yet illuminated by futuristic brilliance, heroic sagas of Viking conquests, and the promise of a utopian future where ancient runes were reinterpreted in streams of digital light. Each image, each vibration of energy, was a message from the eternal cosmos, reminding him that history is cyclic and every end heralds a new beginning. Amid this swirling fusion, a delicate shimmer emerged, a subtle signature of Chronos Viages woven into the light. This gentle, reassuring emblem affirmed that modern innovation stands as a steadfast guide for those daring enough to traverse time's boundless corridors. With renewed determination, Eric pressed forward, his heart beating in unison with the eternal rhythm of the North. Every step on the ancient, echoing stones was a step toward unearthing the profound truth that the soul of his people could be reborn, a renaissance forged from the merging of raw, ancestral valor with the boundless potential of the future. As the pulsating energy of the crystalline nexus gradually subsided, the cavernous hall fell into a serene twilight. The once turbulent vortex that had carried Eric through the swirling mists of time finally softened into a gentle, sustained glow. With each fading pulse, the ethereal chamber, where ancient runes and futuristic symbols had danced as one, transformed into a quiet sanctuary of timeless reflection. Eric emerged from the depths of the labyrinth, finding himself back on the familiar, windswept shores of modern Scandinavia. Yet everything had changed. The stark, rugged landscape now shimmered with hints of the epic saga he had witnessed, a tapestry woven from the fierce battles of Viking warriors and the luminous promise of a reimagined future. The icy fjords and ancient forests bore the silent imprint of a renaissance where tradition and innovation intertwined in a harmonious, unstoppable force. With the first light of dawn casting delicate hues of lavender and gold across the horizon, Eric's heart swelled with a profound clarity. His journey through the Vortex had transformed him. He was no longer merely a soldier of the present, but a custodian of the North's eternal legacy, a living bridge between the valor of his Viking ancestors and the visionary future awaiting his people. The subtle emblem of Chronos Viages appeared one final time in the gentle luminescence, a discreet yet powerful reminder that modern technology and ancient wisdom continue to guide those brave enough to challenge the confines of time. Riding El Viajero. Now a fusion of vintage grit and modern innovation, Eric resumed his journey along the timeless road. The open highway stretched before him like a living chronicle, each mile resonating with the collective heartbeat of generations. Every curve and horizon whispered tales of freedom, of rebellious rock and the unyielding spirit of a nation built on the dreams and defiance of its forebears. The distant roar of engines merged with the soft murmur of the wind, a lullaby for a world reborn from the embers of its storied past. As the morning sun broke through the dissipating night, Eric understood that his odyssey was far from over. The path ahead, infused with the echoes of ancient battles and the promise of futuristic glory, beckoned him onward. His journey had become more than a passage through time. It was a sacred quest to preserve the legacy of the Vikings and to kindle the flame of renewal for a future defined by both tradition and innovation. With renewed resolve, Eric accelerated into the dawn, his spirit carrying the eternal saga of Ragnar's Renaissance, a timeless beacon that would inspire countless souls to embrace the endless cycle of renewal, honor, and hope.